All right. Britt, Lucille, do we want to get started or do we need a few more minutes?
I think it's fine to get started.
All right. Well, on behalf of the board, I'd like to welcome everyone this morning. Appreciate everyone's attendance. A lot of great information to share this morning. I do want to remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded, as we heard just a few seconds ago. We have an outstanding speaker today, Susanna Privet from the U.S. Census Bureau. She's going to conduct a census training workshop on how to access the most current and relevant census data. A lot of great information to be shared, as well as how to access that information. For any of our guests that are joining the meeting, we encourage you to use the chat feature for any questions or comments. The COG staff are going to be monitoring that and can alert anyone associated with it, but go ahead and use the chat feature. Something new today, because the meeting is being recorded, we will not need to do a roll call for attendance. The Zoom webinar conducts tracks all of the attendees, so we won't need to do the roll call this morning. I would like to go ahead and introduce two new board members. First is the Honorable Ron Simmons, who is filling an open seat for the Collin County. The Honorable Ron Simmons has served in the Texas House of Representatives for 6 years. Upon leaving the legislature, the governor appointed Representative Simmons to serve as chairman of the board of Texas Mutual Insurance Company, the state-sponsored workers' compensation insurance company. So I'd like to welcome you, Mr. Simmons, and welcome you to the board.
Thank you very much, Fred. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to serving with all of you. Obviously, very, very talented people. It should be fun. Thank you.
Very much appreciated. Our second new board member is Dr. Suku Naik, filling an open seat in the principal economic interest category on the board. Dr. Naik is the Associate Provost for Research and the Director of the SMU AT&T Center for Virtualization. Dr. Naik has developed strong connections in the technology sector in the DFW Metroplex with an emphasis on workforce development. So on behalf of the board, would definitely like to welcome you to the board this morning.
Thank you, Fred. I also am looking forward to working with you all.
Very much appreciate both of you joining us. I'd like to move on to approval of the May 2nd board meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes or edits that they'd like to share? If not, then I'll call for a motion to accept the minutes.
All right, this is John Smith. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Do we have a second on the minutes?
Maria Martinez Cosio for second.
Thank you so much. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Nay.
Aye.
Motion carries and the minutes are approved. Now I'd like to move on. We have a founding member of the board who has decided that it was time to retire, which is extremely unfortunate, not only for the board, but also our community and SMU. Dr. James Quick of Southern Methodist University and an NCTEDD board member since its inception and during the creation is going to be retiring and will be leaving the board. I'd like to ask Lucille to say a few words.
Thank you, Fred. Good morning, everyone. And I don't see Dr. Quick on the call this morning, but I would like to say that he has been so instrumental in all of the work that we've done to become an economic development district from the very beginning. Has been very instrumental in leading the education sector in helping us to actually identify folks to contact in the education sector. Even when he was on vacation, he took the time to read through a lot of the information and materials that we were working on. And Fred, you know it very well that all of the work and robust work he has done as a part of this board from the very beginning. The person that was initially holding that the spot as the chair of our institutions of education left his position at the institution from with which he was working, and so that left us with the void. And quickly quickly, Dr. Quick stepped up and stepped in to help us through all of that work from the very beginning. I shared with Prit last week some of the emails that go back from 2015 as Dr. Quick helped us as we were formulating this board. So he may not be on the call right now, but I want you all to all know just how special he has been to this board and the work of doing our SWOT analysis and so forth, how he has brought people to the table. We were just so fortunate and so grateful to have him on board.
Thank you, Lucille. And I'd also like to add, just again, going back to when this was an idea and we were going through to figure out how to make this happen, Dr. Quick was a huge advocate to put this together. And then especially during the most recent round of developing the CEDS, especially around the SWOT analysis, provided outstanding leadership to really ensure that we represented the full spectrum from K through 16. It wasn't just focused on one area, recognizing that the evolution of our community has to be inclusive of all students if we're going to do true economic development and workforce development for the benefit of our community and our state and our country. So I know Dr. Quick is going to be missed at SMU, and I know he's going to be missed on this board. So I'd like to also thank him for his incredible service for our community, and he's definitely going to be missed. And if anyone has any comments that they'd like to share, I would ask that you go ahead and type them into chat, and we'll make sure to share those with Dr. Quick. He's truly someone who has made a difference during his career and tenure.
Yeah, I will personally convey your kind words to him.
Excellent. Thank you. So now I'd like to move on and introduce Stacy Webb, Economic Development Representative from the Economic Development with an Economic Development Administration update. Stacy, if you're there.
Good morning. Yes, I'm sorry. I was having
awesome.
some technical issues. Can y'all hear me okay?
Sure can.
All right, let's see if I can get this video working real quick. Okay. Hi. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me today. I just wanted to take a few minutes to give an update on where we are, having spent the last year really working with the various American Rescue Plan Act or ARPA funds. We are now in back in a regular program year. We've spent all of our ARPA funds as well as this year's regular fiscal year funding. So now we're waiting for our October 1 budget. That said, there are a couple of national ARPA competitions that are still ongoing. One is the Good Jobs Challenge, which there were several applications submitted from this region. And so the announcement of those awards really should be made any day now. We expected it in July, but it didn't happen. So any day now, please, stay tuned for that. As for our regular programs, EDA's largest programs are the Public Works and Economic Adjustment Assistance programs. These fund all types of infrastructure: water, sewer, road, rail, ports, broadband, in addition to other economic development activities like workforce development or business incubators and accelerators, revolving loan funds, business assistance programs, and technical assistance. Now, unlike our ARPA funds, in which case all communities were eligible, in our regular programs, the communities, the project area or project impact area that is, must meet certain distress thresholds. So that has to be determined very quickly. And that determines what the EDA grant rate is going to be. And that ranges somewhere between 50 and up to 80% of the total project, with funding levels, of course, there. It's also important to note that these regular programs do fund less than the ARPA programs. The ARPA was a supplemental, obviously, and so we could fund a little bit higher. So the average Public Works award is around $1 to $1.5 million. And for economic adjustment, it ranges somewhere between 150,000, which are usually our planning or strategic planning projects, up to about $1 million. And all of this obviously depends on what our budget is for the year and the project's economic impact, specifically its ability to create private sector jobs and private investment. We have an open application cycle. meaning we accept applications year round, and it is always a good idea to get your application submitted early in that fiscal year. Now, for this year, it will be particularly important to do that because all of the ARPA projects that were good projects that we couldn't fund because we simply ran out of money, those projects are going to roll over into our normal program year. So what that means is we're probably going to run out of funding pretty quickly. Now, those ARPA projects that are rolling over, they're not automatically getting funded. They're simply, they were determined to have merit and be good projects for a review. So they're being reviewed again. So that's not to say that we've got a big sweep of projects coming in to take all the money. It just means we've already got a pipeline for this next fiscal year. And we can operate, we can review projects and make awards as long as there is a budget or a continuing resolution. So if, you know, there's not a budget passed and we're in a CR, please don't think that means that we are not doing business as usual. We are. So please, you know, keep in close contact. If you have, you know, a project you think may be good, please contact Lucille or Pritt. The North Central Texas CDD is trained on our application process. They understand our programs, what we're looking for in terms of competitiveness. And so it's really important that you work with them. Also, all EDA awards must be reviewed by the EDD for compliance with the CEDS, which you were talking about earlier. We cannot even fund or consider funding a project if the district has not reviewed that project, determined its, you know, compliance with the goals and objectives of the CEDS. And so that's really important to coordinate with them. I will just, as a last note, give you kind of a point of reference. We receive about $115 million for public works and about $37 million for the Economic Adjustment Assistance Program. Now, this year's budget does have an increase of about $115 million across those programs. So we're certainly hopeful that we'll have more funding this year, but that's not guaranteed. Again, the real message here is if you even think you have a potential project, please contact the district staff, Lucille, Pritt, immediately, and, you know, start assessing if you're going to have something to come in and get that submitted early. So that's all I have today.
Thank you, Stacey. It's a great update. Definitely appreciate that information. And if anyone has any questions that come up afterwards, please reach out to Stacey and get additional information and help ensure that we've got the things that we need for our community. So thank you, Stacey.
Thank you.
I'd like to move on to our guest speaker. We're excited that Susanna Privet, the Data Dissemination Specialist at the U.S. Census Bureau, is joining us today. You have a full bio that was shared along with in the emails that were sent to all of the board members. But I'd like to add that Susanna is the Data Dissemination Specialist for the U.S. Census Bureau, covering Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and assisting in New Mexico. And we're excited that she's joining us today to conduct a census training on how to access the most current and relevant demographic, socioeconomic, housing statistics, and other data sets that involve our local community, all things that are relevant as we go about our business. She'll be sharing her screen and walking us through the census website, as well as additional information that will be useful for us. Please, if you have any questions, just go ahead and pop them into the chat. And again, the COG staff are on board to help float those questions out. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to our guest speaker today with our sincere thanks for joining us to share this information. So Susanna, please go ahead and lead us forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so happy to be here. I was in Denver for the National Association of Counties. I don't know if some of you might have been there, but it's my first trip out of the house since the pandemic for the Census Bureau. And so I know that I have a twang, but when people would come up to the booth that were from Texas or somewhere in the South, it got worse. So forgive me. I feel like I'm still speaking that way now. So I've been with the Bureau since the 2000 census. I've done a lot of different jobs for the Bureau. I've been fortunate to work on the American Community Survey, which I'll talk about, and have just done a lot of different jobs with the Bureau that I feel that have added to my experience and to be able to pass that on to you. I'm very customer service oriented. So I will say several times, please don't hesitate to contact me directly, call or email, anything you'd like to do. I'm going to share my screen before I forget, because I will start talking and forget to share. And let me, okay. So can you see census.gov on my screen? If someone will just nod their head, that'll be great. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so today I'm going to do sort of a basic, I'm not sure what everyone's level is in finding data. I'm going to do sort of a basic demonstration, but I think you'll find it very helpful. But again, don't hesitate to call me, email me. At the end, I'll have a slide with my contact information, take a picture of it, whatever you need to save that. Any questions, even if you get a survey or a call from us about a survey, please don't hesitate to contact me if you want to make sure it is a legitimate survey or anything like that. I cover all aspects of the Census Bureau, any questions or inquiries. So I'm going to start with talking about census.gov, and then I'm going to go to our tool, data.census.gov. I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. Bear with me just 1 second. I'm going to stop showing myself so that it doesn't affect the bandwidth. I'm going to show you data.census.gov, and then I'm going to do a short little presentation on economic data, and then a PowerPoint. And then if you have questions or comments, I welcome those. So we're going to start with census.gov. If you want to follow along, you can do that. The Census Bureau has really always, of course, concentrated on collecting data. So we've not in the past always been good about how we present the data. Not that we're not giving tables and things like that, but we're much more visual now, and we're really concentrating on making it easier for the data user to find information. And I think you'll find that when I show data.census.gov. Every year we get better at that. So I'm really happy about that. When I started with the Bureau at the Dallas Regional Office, I still had to go to a shelf, pull a book, look up the page, and then copy it, fax it to the data user, or call them on the phone and tell them what the statistics were. So we've really come a long way since those times of being able to find everything online. So here you'll see, if you've never been on census.gov, you'll see that we have some tabs across the top with different topics. Again, trying to make it easier. If you're not sure, you don't see something listed, you can always go to A to Z. And if you still can't find it, give me a call or shoot me an email, and I can help you with that. Explore data, we have our data tools and apps listed here, so you can find what you're looking for. I'll also talk about a place where you can look for tables. We didn't have that before, and so that's something new. We have a lot of infographics, visualizations, photos. Please remember, if you're ever doing a PowerPoint, a presentation, anything that you find on the Census Bureau besides tables and data, pictures, infographics, visualizations, videos. You can embed those if you need to. All of this belongs to all of us. And so you're welcome to use any of that information for any purposes. Surveys and programs, we have 130 censuses and surveys, and I don't think that people really realize. They obviously think we only work once every 10 years when we do the decennial census. And so we are actually out there collecting all types of data. And so if you go to the surveys and programs tab, you can always click on all surveys and programs, and it will give you a comprehensive list of everything that we do have. Information 4 is media related, or if you get a survey. And then of course, NAICS codes, looking up NAICS codes. If you're not sure what the code is that you need for a business or an industry, you can find that. So what I'm going to start with is Quick Facts. This is a tool that's here on the main page of census.gov. And to me, this is a great tool if you're needing a number and you're not sure how to get started. You've forgotten how I told you to access data. You can always click here. Right now, it's in the middle of the page, so I'm just going to click on that. And it brings up a list of statistics. It always defaults to the United States as a geography. You can actually type, let's see, different cities, counties. There is a limitation that it must have at least 5,000 or more in population on this particular tool. So if you don't find it, it's not that we don't have the data, it's not on this tool because it falls under the 5,000 population limit. So you can see that we have a selection of topics here. Let me make this bigger, make it easier for you to see. It's not everything, obviously, but these are actually the topics, subjects that people are most frequently searching for on our website or calling us and asking for this information. So that is where this collection of specific topics comes from. So you can see it's a little bit of a lot of different areas of data. So if you're needing a number, you can pretty much come here, get that number, and jump right out without having to really pull up a table. Now, we do have the, if you're needing a source, there's a lot of information here. For example, if I was looking for information on veterans, I could click on the I information button. It tells me where that particular statistic source is coming from. It gives me some definitions, some other information in this pop-up. But the best thing that I like about the information button is that, for example, here it says veterans data from other Census Bureau sources. So really, this is like a gateway. If you can't remember or you know the specific topic and you want to see what other data is available, you can click the I information button, click the hyperlink, and it will take you to a page for whatever topic you've selected to look at more data. So that, I think, is an excellent feature on this particular tool. You'll see that there are date ranges. They will publish the most, the newest, I should say, statistic for each of these topics here. So that's why they're giving you dates. Some of the censuses and surveys are not done every year. And so, for example, population estimates, it'll give you the latest vintage of what that, the latest version. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm having trouble with this. The latest version of whatever the statistic is. Also, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, and I hope I'm not making anyone sick by going up and down here. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, if you're following along, you'll see there's an explanation for letters or symbols that you see listed. It also gives you all the different sources for the information that's found on this tool. So you can see there's quite a bit of sources here. So again, this is quick facts. You can select up to 5 geographies and then compare, look at them, whatever the case may be. You just continue to type whatever your geography is here at the top, and it will add up to 5 here. There is a map and a chart feature. I'm very honest, and I'll tell you that those 2 features on Quick Facts, I don't believe are as useful as getting the main page statistics here, but please check those out on your own and let us know what you think. But this is the best of Quick Facts, is being able to come in, get a population number, get out, or some type of statistic that's very popular. So I'm going to go back to the main page. And so I want to also look at geography. And the reason that I want to talk about geography, if some of you don't look at data every day like I do, you may not realize that that is the foundation for everything that we do at the Census Bureau. And so I clicked on geography. It took me to the geography page, the geography program page. And so I'm going to scroll down on that page, and you'll see that there's different places that you can go listed on the page, but I'm going to be interested in reference maps. And you may or may not be aware that every 10 years prior to the decennial census, when we count the nation, we do update maps that we have. And so here I'm going to click on View All Reference Maps. And our census tract maps and our census block maps have all been updated from the 2020 census. So I'm going to click on 2020 because I do want to show you that you can access this yourself. Maybe you're working on a project, maybe you want data for a specific neighborhood for whatever reason. So you want to look at what tracts are within the area that you're interested in. And so you can scroll down and click on Census Tract Reference Map. And this is going to show you by county all the tracts within a county. You do have to select what state you're looking at. And so let me scroll down here and select Texas. And then you get a list of all the counties in Texas or New Mexico, whatever state you select. And then you can scroll down until you find the county. I'm going to select Dallas County for this. And you'll see that there's a list of what's available. We have one PDF map, so I'm going to click on that. And so this is a map of all of the tracts in Dallas County. Now, I'm going to zoom in, but I do want to tell you, if you ever want to print this map, you need to go to Kinko's, or if you have a map printer with the paper, the large paper, this will print about 32 by 36 inches. So I just want to let you know, I have had data users that tried to print and had a lot of paper that they had to tape together. So I'm going to zoom in so that I can just show you. You may or may not be able to see these red numbers. Those are actually the track numbers on the track map. You can zoom in far enough on this map that you can see street names, road names, you can see water features. So if you're wanting to check your neighborhood statistics, you can do so, or possibly for a business you're considering opening or encouraging others to open. You can take a look at what the population looks like in a tract. A tract is about the size of an urban neighborhood. So if you want to picture that in your mind, the tract numbers, you'll see, for example, I'm going to point out here, there's tract 210 here. But yet over just above it, you'll see there's 204.02 and 100.02. These are different tracks. The point, the number after the point on these track numbers tells you basically how many times the track has been updated. The population of a tract is between 1,200 and 8,000. And these tracts that you see on this map, the smaller the tract, the more dense the population. The larger the tract, of course, not as much population. It could be more businesses, it could be industry. And if you were in a more rural area, it would indicate possibly a rural area. So even if you're looking at tracts in a county you're not familiar with, just understanding that the size of the tract will tell you where the most population is. Larger tract could indicate something else. Are there any questions about tracts? The reason that I'm focusing on tracts is because most of the information you're interested in or would be interested in for a business or other purposes would be tract data that really describes the population, people's ages, race, ethnicity, income, education level, number of people in a housing unit, all of the things that we might be interested in about a population are available at the tract level. Now, I do have a link to the tract maps and the different levels of geography, and I will send that so that that can be shared. I've got a whole page of links of some of the things that I'm talking about that I'll share with all of you so that you can go back and take a look at some of what I'm showing you today. So this, as I said, is a tract map. I just wanted you to see what Dallas County looks like. By tracts, we also have maps for blocks as well. Now, the amount of data that you get at a block level is different. It's not as comprehensive as what you get at a tract level. That data comes from the 2020 census. So if you remember some of the questions that you answered, it's basic information, age, relationship in the household, race, ethnicity. It's basic information about the population. So that's what's available at the block. And we don't want to give away too much at the block level because we are concerned about privacy. And so that is why at that lower level of geography, we don't have as much data available describing the population. Okay, so let me go back to any questions so far about the geography portion? Okay, so now, oops, sorry, I went too far. I'm going to go back to the main page And I'm going to go to the American Community Survey. I want to talk about that a little bit. This is a survey that we do in every county in the nation every month. It is a sample survey, and so you may not get the survey, but a neighbor in your neighborhood will get the survey. And this is where we get the information that you're going to be most interested in if you're wanting to start a business or see where you should put a business possibly, or maybe you're working on some type of program. Maybe you're looking at a grant for something and you're needing data at a tract level because you're needing the most information about the population. And so that is why the American Community Survey is important, because we are collecting all of that type of information. And so we have a page dedicated to that. Any questions that you might have, you can always go to the Surveys and Programs page and go to the American Community Survey page, as well as if you get a survey in the mail or someone calls you about the survey, you can also go here to reference to that or give me a call. We have, I have a list of the topics that I'll show later in the presentation, and it's pretty comprehensive as far as what's covered in the American Community Survey. Then, so we have data from that. And then, as I mentioned, we also have data from the 2020 census. And so we are still releasing data and will for the next couple of years from the 2020 census. Right now, we have the basic information that I mentioned available from the 2020 census, but other tables will be available over the next 2 years, and we'll be releasing those and sharing that with everyone. But if you need any other information about the 2020 census, we have a page dedicated to that. So please don't hesitate. And as I said, on any of our other censuses and surveys, we have pages dedicated to all of them. And I'll talk a little bit about a couple of others later. Okay, so now I want to go over to data.census.gov before I run out of time. This is the tool, and if you just type in data.census.gov, you can access this page, the tool. If you've been looking at the tool or using the tool, you may not have seen that we've updated it. It looks a little different. They're making changes. Again, we're trying to make everything much more user-friendly, helping people to find what they need a little easier. So I really do invite you, if you've not been on data.census.gov, to please do so. As you can see, they talk about quite a bit of different topics here, and are really, again, we're making a huge effort to make it much more accessible for you. So I think you'll be surprised if you take a look at it and you haven't seen this before. I'm going to go back up to the top of the page. So here in the search bar, you can type population for Waco, Texas, or number of Asians in Fort Worth, Texas, whatever it is that you're looking for, the number of housing units in Dallas County, you can type that here in the search box and it will pull up what it thinks you're looking for. It'll give you a list of tables. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you advanced search, which is in tiny letters here underneath the search bar. So I'm going to click on that. And the reason that I want to show you this is because some of you may want quite a bit of data. You may want to look at several counties, 20 tracts. 10 cities all at once. Maybe you're comparing for business purposes. So I want to show you that advanced search will probably be the better way for you to do that, rather than use the search bar and try to put things in one at a time. So here we have filters. If you already have table numbers that you've used in the past, you can always type those here and then select your geography. I personally like to select my geography first. And the reason that I do that is because even though we have a lot of data, not all data is available at all levels of geography. And so if you select your topic first or something else, and then you select your geography, you may or may not get what you think was available. And you'll have a question about that, or you'll feel frustrated about that. So I usually suggest, if you're not familiar with our tables or finding information, I suggest that you select your geography first, and then select your topics or whatever else you're looking for. That way, what results you get is what's available at that level of geography. So that's why I'm suggesting that. Obviously, you can do it either way, but I feel there'll be less frustration. That way you'll know I selected my geography and here's what's available. Okay, so I'm going to look at place, which is what we call a city, a town, a village, a borough, in census lingo, and I'm just going to click on place, and then I'm going to scroll down because I'm looking for places in Texas. And so I'm just going to select a few cities here. Let me just type up here at the top. I've gone blank. I'm sorry. Okay. So I've selected a couple of cities that I want to take a look at. And so now that I've done that, I'm going to go to my topics. And here are all the topics that are available for the geographies that I've selected. There will be times that you will select geographies and the list could be shorter than what you're seeing here now. And that will tell you that there's a limitation based on the geography that you've selected. So let me take a look at education. I'm looking at educational attainment. And so I've selected that. It's all in this area here. So this is what the search will be here. And then I'm going to go down to the right bottom corner and click on search. So what this does is it gives me a list of 94 tables that it thinks, based on what I put in my filters search box, that I could be looking for. So I'm going to apologize because we're not known for the names of our tables. Sometimes you'll see a name of a table and you'll think, that's the one I want. You'll look at it and it may or may not be the one that you need. So I'm apologizing for that ahead of time. But let's just take a look at the first table. Here it's telling me my source, American Community Survey. This is the table number. If it turns out that you want to look at this table more than once, you might want to make note of the table name or at least the table number, so that later you can come back, put that in, put your geography, and get the information that you need. So I clicked on educational attainment. So let me just scoot that over so that I can actually see the table. So here it puts your geographies regardless of what you selected in alphabetical order. So here is Balch Springs. And so table S, this is a subject table, 1501. So it's giving me an estimate, the margin of error. It's also giving me a percent estimate. And then it also breaks it down by male, percent male, and you just go across female, percent female, and then we finally see the next geography that I selected. And again, all of those are repeated. I can click on margin of error, and that takes away that column. It hides that column for now, just so that I can maybe see the numbers more. You can also, on a lot of these columns, you can hide, you can scroll down all of these arrows. If you're not wanting to look at all the information here, you can certainly hide those different levels. This particular table is giving us a lot of good information, race and Hispanic or Latino, broken down by race. We also have some other race alone, 2 or more races. And then here we have Hispanic or Latino. We have the poverty rate. And then the different levels of educational attainment under that. The median earnings, again, based by educational attainment here. So you can see the earnings estimate by the level of education. So again, you can go to the top, change the geography. Maybe you want to add a couple of more cities or a couple of counties, states. You can go in and change the topics here at the top on this bar. There's quite a bit that you can do to not have to go back and select another table. And here you have a little menu on each of the columns. So if you want to change the size, expand the columns, you can do that as well. Again, you can also download into Excel. And I highly suggest that if you're going to look at a table more than 2 times, you might want to just go ahead and download the table into Excel and keep that. That way you don't have to keep coming back and trying to remember how to pull up the information. You also have, you can select CSV or into a zip file. Right now, the printing is not working the way it should, so I'm not going to suggest that for you. You would need to download it into Excel and then print from there if you're wanting to print the table. We also have a map feature that works on some of the tables. It's based on the number of topics that are listed in the table. And I can do another training on just that alone at another time. So let's go back to the filters. So now I don't want to look at educational attainment any longer. So I want to look at something else. I want to look at income and poverty. And then I want to look at income and earnings. And it gives me some different topics here, but I want to look at income for households, families. I can X out or close out of that. And you can see that we have 429 on this list. So you can scroll through the different tables to see what it is you're looking for. For this purpose, we'll just look at table S1901. So I'm going to close out the double arrows. So again, here you can see the different items listed. They have income range on this particular table. You can go across to show household income, family income, married couple family income, non-family households. So in census terminology, the household income includes anyone 16 and above that is working and providing income to the household. And so that is the total that is included under household income. For family, that is considering the traditional definition of family. So the mother and the father or a single parent is bringing in the income. So that would be what's listed under families. Married couple families, again, that is a married couple income. And then non-family households would be everyone else, not included in the others. So maybe roommate situations, something like that would be included in this total here. Any questions so far on?
Susanna, we have a question. Is it possible to compare cities and counties? Can you add, as far as your geography, have cities and counties in the same comparison table?
You could have the United States. If you don't select a geography, it will always default to United States. So sometimes if you're looking at data and you realize it's United States and you're thinking that's not what I wanted, it's because you might have forgotten to select a geography. But you can always compare the nation to states, to counties, to tracts, you know, pull all of that up if that's what you're needing, or as many counties or tracts as you need to pull up and take a look at.
Thank you. And then we've got a couple of additional questions. Could you show everyone how you might add an additional topic once you've got a table pulled up?
Oh, okay. So you can either go back out if you want, but you can click here on the menu bar for the table where it says topics. And so it actually sort of just takes you back to where you were, and you can either type in the topic here. You can click on income in poverty and then hit the back arrow. Maybe there's something else that you were wanting to add. But this is the way you could do it from inside the table. But you can always go back to your filters and then either take out what you have or add from the topics here. So let's see, maybe you're looking at, let me add age and sex. So let me close this out. So here we have the age of householder by household income. So let's just take a look at that. So here it's householder under 25 years, and then it gives you the income range, for example. Then householder 25 to 44 years, it gives you the income 45 to 64. So again, now we've added an additional topic. Really, personally, I like going back out to the filters. Sometimes I may forget that I'm got other choices. So if you're not familiar with the topics, it's probably better to go back out and look at the list of topics and click and look underneath each one to find what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I think Dr. Nair had a question. Are there any APIs available to automate the download process? Or is there a way to automate the process of downloading this data?
Well, so I don't know whether you've looked at our API page. That's, let me go back here. They, well, that may not find it. Let's see here, hold on. Well, yeah, here we have, I just typed in APIs. I just had a meeting the other day with the folks working on the APIs, and so they're making some changes. And so I know that that's something that people that are not familiar with APIs or are interested in using that for their data, but they're a little apprehensive. I know how that feels. And so they're working on making it a little more automated. We don't have that yet, but it is coming, where you'll be able to go to a page and make selections and kind of just a little more automatic than to have to go in. Plus, the other thing that we come across with APIs is you don't know what tables you're looking for if you're not familiar with our tables. And so that's been something we've been saying, that data users need to know that. And so they're looking at a way to add that, so that I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but so that you can kind of search and easily find a table that you're needing without having to already have a list of tables or something to make it much more easy when you're in that. So we're working on that, but I'm with you on that. I think we need that.
Thank you, Susanna.
Other questions? So on time, how are we on time?
I think we've got about 20 minutes.
Okay. Let me go ahead and just go through the PowerPoint that I have. It's just going to touch on a couple of things. Can you see the slide? Okay. All right. So this is just a PowerPoint that I've used in the past, so forgive me. It's going to talk about some of the things that I've already talked about, but it will also mention a couple of other things. So there I am. We'll just ignore that. So one of the things that when I've done presentations or workshops, small business association and other groups. And so this is just a short PowerPoint that I do. So, I do point out that, finding the right data for, your chance of success for either starting a business or maybe expanding your business. And I find, especially with a lot of the entrepreneurs, we're all working for that to make sure everybody's aware. Hello?
Suzanne, I think there's a few moments where we've lost a little bit of your audio.
Oh, okay. Well, I was just saying very quickly that using census data for either expanding your business or starting a business, people are not aware of that as we are familiar with that. Also, they're not aware that using census data, not that it will cause your business to fail. That's not what I'm saying here, but it's the lack of data and information for your business. That's very important to be up to date on that. Also, not a lot of businesses don't understand that they really do need to know who their market is. Maybe they have they're producing some type of goods or services that they really feel are going to be beneficial, but yet they fail to realize they're not sure who they're marketing to. So using census data is definitely a plus. Also not realizing that you can track trends to help your business. Possibly your business started off successfully and now you're in some type of a slump, and it could be because of your location or the change in an area that you're in. And so you need to understand all that and take a look at the data and see what's going on in an area. And so again, as I'm saying, census data can help with all of this. I know once a lady was wanting to start a business and she said, well, I just need to know where people live that make at least $150,000. And I said, wow, well, that's pretty easy. I think I can help you with that. If that's all you think you need to know, that's great. And so I can help you with that. But by the end of me helping her, she realized that there was a lot more to it than just finding people who could afford your service or your goods. So I helped her create a profile of the area that her business was in, taking a look at the population, the economics, the types of households in that area. And so that she was a lot happier about her outlook on her business. Another thing that I point out a lot of times is that people don't realize that they can compare businesses. Possibly they have one type of business and there's some other type of business that if they were to move their business to another part of town, for example, there could be some other business that would bring business to them, or compare their business to similar businesses. I mean, there's a lot that you can do to improve your sales and expand your business. And so again, helping people with their business plans, information for their loans. We can help do all of that with census data. So I want to make sure everybody remembers that 2020 census, I spoke a little bit about that, the American Community Survey. So we have a lot of information from the 2020 census down to the block level. Again, basic information about the population. These are the topics that are covered with the American Community Survey. As you can see, there's quite a few. The American Community Survey was built to change with the times and the changes in population. And so we now ask questions also about broadband and whether they have the internet. So much of what we do now, you must do things online. So we now ask questions about that. So we change the American Community Survey as we change as a population. The economic census, that is, I guess, next to the decennial census. That's probably the next largest census that we do, and that is reaching out to all businesses with a survey. What kind of business, where are they located, their revenue, their first quarter payroll totals, the number of employees that they have. This is just a fraction of the information that we collect on the economic census. And again, that is all data that's available for everyone to use. And then county business patterns. This is a survey that it may not be as well known as some of the other surveys that we do, but this is at a county level. The data that's available here is really taking a look at those establishments in a county. Again, you can use this for research, planning and expansion within a county, seeing maybe what your competitors are doing, so that you can change your strategies. All of that is type of data is available with the county business patterns.
Susanna, as far as the websites for these different data tools, is that all through the data census website?
It is, and I'm going to send you a document that has all the links, and I apologize, I completely forgot to send that to you so that you can share that with all the attendees. And so you'll be able to go to all of these areas that I've gone to, even geography and the different surveys. I have links for all of that on a document that you can share.
Great,
So
thank you
I
so much.
apologize. I completely forgot about that. Normally, I'm dropping those in the chat, but since I wasn't doing that today, I forgot that I should send that to you. So I will send that out, and everyone will have the links to all of what I've talked about.
Yeah, and no worries at all. We really appreciate all this information.
So we also, besides myself, where you can call me and I can, lead you through everything that I've just barely touched on today. We have videos on census.gov/academy. We call them data gems. They're just little short videos on how to do a lot of things. So sometimes if you're going through something and you can't find what you're looking for, we probably have a data gem and you can just click on the video. We're also on YouTube. So we're also developing courses that we're starting to put online as well to help everyone to be able to find data. So that is quick. I always feel a little anxious because I feel like I need just hours to tell everybody everything that I could possibly tell you. And it's sometimes hard to just pick certain things to talk about. But this really is just the tip of the iceberg for anyone that is looking for data that I can actually show you. So I can certainly do other trainings or webinars and focus on certain things you might have seen today. That is not a problem. Please don't hesitate to ask me individually or as a group. I can certainly do that for you and focus more on certain topics that you might want. This was just a lot all at one time.
Susanna, that was a lot of information, well presented, and exciting to know that this information is there and it's interactive. I didn't know that existed until just now, so thank you for sharing at least that part. Prit had asked if any of the other board members have any comments or questions. We'll take a moment for those. I don't see any. Prit or Lucille, did you have any other comments?
Just to say that we are so grateful for you today, and I see where some have put in that they're thanking you and that your presentation was extremely helpful with very useful tools and information. So thank you so much for this. And then I also want to thank Connor. Connor came to us with information about this presentation, and we asked him to go forward to try to connect with to put this on. And so we're grateful to Connor for his involvement and his help to get this put together. So thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you, Connor, for giving me an opportunity.
Absolutely, it was wonderful.
Great information. Thank you again.
A couple of people have their hands raised. On the attendee side, someone named just the initials KS. If you could type your message into the chat, we can pass that on to Susanna. And then Luis Tamayo, same thing. If you'll just type your question into the chat, we can pass that on.
Susanna, thank you again so very much for everything that you do every day, and especially for taking time to visit with us this morning and share this information, and for your offer going forward. Don't be surprised if you start to get some calls and emails from folks that this data can help them with what they're doing in their local communities. So thank you.
Yes. And everything that I do is at no cost to anyone. Whether I go do a presentation or even speak about census information, it's at no cost to anyone, anyone that I'm helping. Again, it's my job. That's what I get paid to do. So please use me. Anything related to the Census Bureau, I'm willing to help you with that, or find someone that can help you if I can't answer something. That is my job.
Great. Well, and Connor, thank you also for your work to connect everything, all of the dots today for us. This is great information. Now I'd like to turn it over to Lucille and Pritt. They have a brief update on the CEDS, and then we can move into new business.
Okay, thank you, Fred. And I'm going to really hand it over to Pritt after I thank her for all of her work that that she did to shepherd us through this this CEDS document. We were, as some of you may remember, in the midst of working on the CEDS last year when the ARPA notification of funding opportunity was announced, and we kind of had to stop kind of mid what we were doing to try to work through a lot of the different application processes. And so once we were able to get past that, then we went back to get ourselves recollected and to work on the CEDS. Pritt did an awesome job of shepherding us through the CEDS process. Members of the board, you guys were phenomenal to meet with everyone with regard to the all of the SWOT analysis that we did, and we did a number of them, and you all took them so seriously with your comments and your information that you gave to us. So we are so thankful for that. And Pritt, I'm going to turn this over to you, but board members, the work that you did paid off, and it paid off tremendously, and that our document was approved and accepted. Pritt, will you take it from there?
Yes, ma'am. Again, Susanna, thank you so much for your presentation today, and Connor for connecting us to Susanna so that we could have this great training today. As Lucille mentioned, we're just so grateful for all the support that we receive from all of you and so many others across the region in updating the regional strategy and the CEDS. And at the last meeting on May 2nd, Lucille provided you with a bit of an update on how we moved, once the draft was complete, how we moved the CEDS forward. At that point, the COG Executive Board had been presented the CEDS, and we had submitted the CEDS to the EDA for approval. So we've sent out an email, but we just wanted to let you know that on May 31st, the EDA did approve the CEDS, and the updated CEDS is now on our website. And we know that it's really important for you all to have that document to help guide you, but also when you're applying for funding, it's the piece that's kind of required. And we're so grateful for all the work you've done to make sure that that strategy was ready in time, so that our region can continue to compete for EDA funding, which is important to economic recovery and economic development. The other couple of pieces we wanted to just briefly talk to you about was, I know we sent out a ton of information on broadband, and we've been sending that information out because the funding for broadband has went live around May, and there are a couple of programs in which local communities can compete for funds. One of them is the middle mile funding. The applications for that funding are open through September 30th, and local cities, counties, school districts, colleges, housing authorities are all eligible to apply for that funding. The funding for each awarded application will be somewhere between 5 to 10 million, and they are really encouraging partnerships, with any of those eligible organizations. Most of this funding will go towards construction or improvement or some acquisition to fill the gap where there is not broadband connectivity. So we encourage you to look at some of the emails that we've sent out, and we've also dedicated a website underneath our economic development department on the COG website with information on that broadband funding. So Lucille, Connor, and I are not necessarily experts, but the NTIA, the National Telecommunications and Information Agency, is housed in the Department of Commerce where EDA is housed. So we certainly have some context to try to help, and we're certainly available to help you as much as we can. But it is a great, like we kind of promoted the ARPA funding and the CARES Act funding, this funding for broadband, we've got this little window of time where you can compete for those funds. So we really encourage you to take a look at that. And if you have any questions or you'd like to meet with us, we are open to that. Just reach out to us and we can schedule a call. And like I said, we're not experts, but we certainly know a little bit, and we know some people that know a little bit more than we do. So we can help you with that piece of it. Connor, would you mind putting a link to the broadband page in the chat for everyone?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that might help, with everyone. The other thing we did, in sharing this meeting information across our distro list, we've learned that when we send information out to so many folks on the distro list, they then forward it on to other contacts, internal or external, that are interested in learning about our meetings or just information we're sharing. So if there's anyone on this call today that is not on our economic development distro list, we would be happy to add you to the list. And I'm going to put a link to the document where you can fill out a quick form that will add you to our distro list. And, we've really created this distro list to share as much information as we can with you all that might help you in all aspects of local government, which are related to economic development. But we know that economic development is not just bringing businesses and jobs. It's about having good quality of life and transportation access and all those things. So if there are folks on the call that are not on our distro list, you can click on the link I just put in the chat, and we welcome you to join that list. And then lastly, I know Lucille had mentioned at the beginning of this call that Connor is graduating, but Connor Sadra, who's on the call here today, has been interning with us since last fall, and was very helpful in updating our sets and doing the data analytics, and has been helpful to us in many different ways. And this likely may be his last month interning with us. So I just want to thank Connor and recognize him for all the work and support. We wouldn't have the training today for the census if it wasn't for Connor's initiative to reach out to Susanna, or even to find out that the Census Bureau was taking invitations to provide training. So Connor, thank you so much for all your work.
That was wonderful. It's been great.
Yeah, and congratulations. He graduates with his Master's of Public Administration from Texas Tech this Saturday. So a lot to celebrate there. And Fred, I don't have anything else. Lucille, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, you've done an excellent job. Thank you.
And if anyone has any questions, and like I said, I know we've shared a lot of information today, and so has Susanna. The presentation and the links that Susanna shared will be sent out and emailed out to everyone. I know that that's an important piece of information everyone's looking for. And then just a reminder, we're all here to help you in any way we can.
Thank you, Prit. Thank you, Lucille. Connor, congratulations. Welcome to our new members. I'd like to note that our next virtual meeting is scheduled for November 7th at 10 a.m. And again, that'll be another Zoom meeting. If anyone has any other comments or questions, we'll entertain those. Otherwise, we may be ending a few minutes early. You get a few minutes back today to start your new week, and hope that everyone has a great and wonderful week, and see you all in November, if not sooner.
Thank you, Fred, today for hosting and sharing the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Have a good week.